All right, so I'm talking about Christmas planning to make it less stressful. Now I've got one little thing that you can do to sort of change your thinking about Christmas, and then three steps. I think I made it 4 steps actually, to actually organize it all. So now I've lost my notes. All right, so the first thing, this is what I started doing probably. I've always been pretty anal about organising Christmas, but I just started doing this one thing last year, is to just take a bit of a step back and think about what I'm actually trying to achieve with Christmas. And what's most important? Is it that everyone gets an awesome present? Is it that we spend lots of time as a family? Is it that we go on a great holiday? Is it that the food is fantastic? Whatever, doesn't matter what it is. There's no judgment. That's not the point. The point is actually finding something. Hello, is that Wayne? So the point is actually thinking about what it is that is most important to you. So that is step 1. And then once you have figured out what it is that's most important to you, then you can frame all your, just lost your Erin, but that doesn't matter. Once you figured out what is that thing that is most important to you, that is your overarching idea of Christmas. And then everything that you do, all of your shopping list, all of your to-do list, every event, you can sort of use that as a filter. So does this thing that I'm doing help me to have a great holiday with my family? Does this help me to get awesome gifts for my family, etc., etc., etc.? So if you have listened to my, I'm just going to close this window because the rain is getting even louder. Hold on, sorry guys. It has just been bucketing down here for like 5 days now. Apparently it's meant to go for another week. Okay, so once you have decided on that, you've worked out what it is about Christmas that's most important to you, what you really want. Like if you get past Christmas and you've achieved this thing, I bet, then you'll be happy. So once you've got that sorted, I'm going to tell you to write it down. Oh, I forgot to give you your worksheet, but you know what? You don't need it. Just grab a piece of paper if you want to write stuff down. So once you've done that, the next step is to, if you've done my Overcome the Overwhelm workshop, this is all going to sound very familiar to you. So it does apply to everything. If you haven't done that workshop, it is available as a podcast episode, so I encourage you to go and listen to that. But the next step is to go through absolutely everything that you need to do between now and Christmas and write it down. Being buy gifts, pack for your holiday, organise somewhere for the dog to go while you're away, make food for Christmas Day, plan your Christmas outfit, post Christmas cards. Write every single thing that you can think of down on that list. Have a look at it, make sure you've absolutely got everything. So then the next thing, now this is going to mental blank. Sound familiar if you've been around here for a minute. That the next thing that you do is declutter that list. Now also you're putting on there events, things that you're invited to, things you've got to go to, etc. So the next thing is to declutter it. What's on that list that you don't, well, number one, that you don't want to do? Can you cut it off the list? So if there is an event that's on one of the weekends leading up to Christmas, it's not really something you want to do. It doesn't help you achieve this big goal of having a fantastic time with your family because it's maybe the kids aren't invited, or they are, but they're not really going to have a great time. You don't really want to go. Don't go. I give you permission. You don't have to. Just because you get invited to something does not mean that you have to go. So cut some things off the list. Is there somebody on that list of presents who never really appreciates what you give them? You never get anything in return. Not that that's the point, but it's really just wasting your money and your time and your effort giving them a gift. Cut them off the list. You don't have to give every single person a gift. What else is there? Things that you do in the lead up to Christmas. Can you cut them out? Making a million dishes on Christmas Day. Can you cut something off that list? What can you get rid of on the list? And then the next step in terms of culling is to delegate. So for example, Christmas Day. If you are hosting the lunch, can you delegate the nibbles to this person, this family member? Can you delegate salads to this person? So what can you get off that list that you're not paying somebody else to do? You are just passing it on to someone else. Can you put your husband in charge of buying presents for, I'm stopping myself mid-sentence because do we trust them to do the shopping? But anyway, can you put your husband in charge of something? Can the kids make the Christmas cards? You can see where I'm going with that. So that's your next thing on the list. So the first thing you do with your list, get rid of the things that do not need to be there, that aren't going to contribute to your main goal for Christmas, and that you don't want to do, that you don't need to do, or that aren't going to give you any sort of joy. And then the next step, the things you don't want to do but need to be done, what can you delegate? All right, so then you are left with a list of things that actually need to be done that you do want to be done. Not necessarily you do want to do. So maybe there are some things on there that you couldn't delegate to someone else, but you still don't really want to do them. So now we come to simplifying it. So this is where you could outsource. So for example, food. Is there something that you could buy instead of making? Could you employ a cleaner for the week before Christmas? If you're hosting Christmas and cleaning the house is on your list, could you get a cleaner in that time before Christmas? Could you take all your presents to they have the charity setups in the shopping centres where they wrap presents. Could you take all your presents there and have them wrapped? I couldn't because I'm too anal about my wrapping. But could you take them there? You are donating to a charity and you're having your gifts wrapped. Something that you are delegating. You are not delegating, you are outsourcing that task to somebody else. There are services that do Christmas cards. So you can literally type up all your messages, the address and the names of people, and they will print those cards and send them. One-stop shop. I don't know the name of that service, but I have received cards from that service. So it's all about how can you make it easier. Even things like setting up online shopping. So doing your shopping online. Even if you go to the shops one day, do a spruik, is that the word? Run around the shops, look at all the things that you might want to get and make a list, and then go online, set aside an hour one night, go online and do all your shopping there. Another little tip for simplifying is theming things. So I have a friend who told me a couple of years ago that she always themes her presents for her family and her partner's family. So one year she did pajamas. She wrote down everybody that she had to give a gift to, their size, and she went into Peter Alexander. Now, maybe not within everyone's budget, but you get the idea here. And she got a pair of pajamas for each person. They gift wrapped them in shop. Done. She did not have to do any more Christmas shopping. I thought that was absolutely genius. So you could apply that to, you could come up with a different thing. My mum used to do a lotto draw. So she would print out the numbers. I don't still have it, I don't think. She had a little post-it note, like stack of post-its. One year it had the lotto numbers and a little jingle. One year she had a fridge magnet, and then every week she would buy a lotto ticket with those numbers, and everyone in the draw would then get something if we won. I don't think we ever won nothing significant. But can you see where I'm going with this? All right, so I think I've given the general idea of simplifying the list. Let me just check. Also, generic gifts. So having a selection of things that are good for a whole lot of people. So say foodie gifts that you make. Now, if you are interested in foodie gifts, I am running another workshop next week where I am showing, I'm actually going to make them, 3 things that you can make as foodie gifts in 30 minutes. So the thing I love about this is you make it all in bulk. You might set aside a couple of hours for these. You only need 30 minutes, but some other things take longer. Make a whole lot of stuff that stores, and then you are set for things like teachers' gifts. When you pop into somebody's house, when somebody drops in unexpected, you're covered. So that's why I love that. And I'll pop a link in at the end for how to register for that workshop if you want to come along to that one as well. Hi, Christina. Hi, Emily. All right. Sorry you guys are jumping in a little bit later, but you'll be able to watch the replay, so don't worry. So I'm up to, and I'm going to run over all the steps again. Food. How can you simplify the food over the holidays? Now, I suggest doing yourself a bit of a meal plan for December. Stocking the freezer with a few simple meals, because you know it gets to that time of year and you want to be able to be a bit flexible. If you go over to someone's house for a play date, you want to be able to stay, not have to race home for dinner, etc. So keeping the freezer stocked with a good supply of things that will get you through the holidays, and also to have food for when people show up or when people drop in or off the cuff Christmas celebrations. That's another workshop that I'm going to be running. So I've got 5 items that I think are absolutely essential to get you through the holidays, and they'll get you through, like emergency dinners. When people drop by and they want to stay for dinner, quick breakfasts, beating the kids really quickly, and dinners, and lunches as well for holidays as well. So I don't think I've got that workshop scheduled yet, but that's coming up in the coming weeks as well. And the other thing that I've got in the simplify is people. You can simplify things. I know people say a lot, oh, let's catch up before Christmas. I don't know why that's such a thing. Why does everybody always have to catch up before Christmas? I guess because you put a deadline on it and then maybe you actually do catch up. But I know you get this from a lot of people. So one option would be, say, to organise a little gathering in the park. Say, guys, on this day at this time, we're going to have a little catch up in the park. Invite everybody that you want to catch up with. Bring a plate, beware a plate and drinks. Even if people can't come, you've put it out there. You've made the effort, and then you've knocked it all off. So that's one way to simplify people. So think, if this just gets your brain thinking, how can I make this easier? And be constantly asking yourself, how can I make this easier? How can I make this easier? How can I make this easier? That is the key. All right, so then the next thing is to organize what is left on your list. So you've got this list, you've narrowed it down, you've gotten rid of all the things that you don't want to do, that you don't have to do, and then you simplified what's left. So what you are left with is this list of things that you have to do in the lead up to Christmas, that you get to do in the lead up to Christmas. I don't like saying have to, because Christmas is meant to be exciting, right? It's meant to be fun for us. So that's the point of this, is to make Christmas fun again. So organize that list. Now, the point of this is to I recommend making a spreadsheet. So I make a spreadsheet of absolutely everything. I have different pages. I used to get embarrassed about sharing this, but apparently I'm not the only one who is super anal and uses spreadsheets for things like planning Christmas. So in my spreadsheet, I have presents. That's one page, one sheet. I have food. I have to do. I have packing for the holidays, because we always go away around Christmas. And I've got decorations. So break up all your tasks into a system that makes sense for you. So that might not work for you. You might use some other sort of thing. You might separate it by person in the family. The point is making sure that every single thing is in one place, organized, so you can see it, so you can keep track of what you've got to do, and you're not just keeping track of it in your head, because that is a surefire way to go nuts over Christmas, trying to remember everything. Now, the key, another benefit of having it all down in one place, is that you can involve somebody else with it, like the husband. I'm looking out there because my husband was literally standing there 2 seconds ago. And so that is the key one of the keys to having it all in one place. Now, once you've got everything down, I like to get more descriptive about things. So if you have a list of people you're going to buy for, go through, what are you going to buy for them? What are you going to make for them? When are you going to do it by? And keep track of, say, your online purchases, having everything all in one place. Things like organizing someone to look after the dog. Once you've found that person, put the details in, put when they're coming. All of those things, put it all in the one place. Now, of course, you don't have to use a spreadsheet, but that's what I use and I recommend because it's simple. And the other thing that I recommend is an app called Life Sorted, which you can create to do items, put deadlines on them, you can put it in your calendar, and you can delegate to other people. So I can put a to-do item in, and I can assign it to my husband, and it will come up in his Life Sorted app, and it will remind him. You can set reminders. You can also set up an event. So say you've got a Christmas party on the Saturday, you can set up a to-do item to go with that event. So you can set it up so the day before, it reminds you, got to make salad, or take salad for the party tomorrow, and it will remind you of that, all linked up together. So that's Life Sorted. It is a fantastic app. That literally changed my life. Okay, so just going to do a bit of a recap. Step 1. Have a think about what it is that you want out of Christmas. What is most important to you about Christmas? Doesn't matter what it is. Can be the presents. Can be spending time with family. Doesn't matter what it is. Just think about it and get it out. Write it down. That is your filter for everything else that you've got to do. Step 2, write out every single thing on your to-do list in your head, every gift you've got to buy, every event you've got to go to. Every single thing, write it down. Hi, Christy. Just going to turn the video off. Write it down. Then, from that list, we are going to declutter it. So get rid of anything that you don't want to do. Get rid of anything that you feel obliged to do, but you don't really have to do. That's the first step. The second step is to delegate. Delegate anything that's on the list that you could get somebody else to do, like having people bring a plate or having your husband in charge of organizing somebody to mind the dog. Delegate what you can. Once you have slimmed that list down a bit, time to simplify the list. So that's where we talk about outsourcing. What can you outsource? What can you pay somebody else to do that it's going to be more efficient? You've got to weigh up the cost and benefit. If it's going to take you an entire day to make jam because you wanted to make jam for teacher gifts, but you're not really keen on it, it's a whole day, could you just go and buy some really nice jam from a fancy shop? So weighing up the cost benefit with that. Talk about generic gifts. So that's things like jam, themed gifts. For example, buying pajamas for everyone in the family to simplify things. We talked about simplifying seeing people, catching up. So organising one gathering, say in a park, so you don't have to do all the work, and asking people to bring a plate. Simplified. And we talked about food, so stocking the freezer. And again, I'll share the links to the upcoming workshops in 2 seconds. Then, once you have decluttered that list and simplified everything, it's time to organize it. So putting it into some sort of layout where everything's organized into categories that make sense for you. Doesn't have to be what I do, just something that makes sense for you, so that it's out of your brain, so that you can see at a glance everything that you've got to do, and you can keep track of where you're at with it. And put some timelines in, put some deadlines, and try and stick to it. And then, like I said, schedule it into something like Life Sorted or a calendar or anything, any other system that you use. The point is not having it in your head of what you have to do and when you have to do it. Now, does anybody have any questions? I'm just going to add to that. Now, inside my membership, the Household Revolution, we are covering getting organized for Christmas. And I expand on some of these points. In there, I share my template for organizing Christmas. So you can literally just plug in all the things that you've got to do into that template, and I'll show you how to use it. And just give a lot more information on each of the things that I've talked about and some more examples. So if anyone's interested in joining us in there, it is just $1 to join. You get 2 weeks for $1, and then it's $22 a month after that. So I'll pop a link to join in the comments as well. But for the month of October, I'm also, because my Christmas planning, I'm going to send you a little welcome gift in the mail. So consider it like a little Christmas present from me. So each month inside the membership, we cover a different topic. Lots of information, with the main point being helping you find time to do the things that are most important for you, most important to you, like whatever's most important to you about Christmas. So that's the aim this month. So I'll pop that link in, and the other links to the workshop. Does anybody have any questions? Can't talk and type at the same time. So Emily, Christy, Christina, thank you for joining live, guys. How are you all going with your Christmas planning? Oh, why have I just sent that? Sorry, I only sent that to Christy. Oops. So I've also got lots of recipes, Christmas recipes and things on the blog, so clairekcreations.com, and I'm going to be sending out to email subscribers, you guys are all on the email list, a little Christmas ebook that if you were around last year, then you've already got it, but whole food Christmas recipes, snack recipes for the kids, which are actually for adults as well. Just because I know feeding the kids over the holidays, they end up eating a lot of rubbish, so that's going to help with that. So I will be sending that out in a little while. Now I'll pop those links in. As I mentioned, I've got 2 other workshops coming up. The first one is 3 recipes in 30 minutes. So those are foodie gifts. So as I said in the simplifying, those are things that say you would take, having a stash of little presents that you can take, where if you're invited to someone's house at the last minute, so you've got something to take, or somebody pops around and they give you a present, so you've got something to give them back. Great teacher gifts. I like to give teachers something that's consumable, because otherwise I feel like they just get a whole lot of stuff. And as you know, I'm about decluttering and not having stuff, although probably should have cleared my desk before I started this. It's not clutter, it's work in progress. So I've popped the link for the 3 things workshop in the comments as well, and also and then the other one is the freezer items. So this is 5 things that I keep in my freezer over the holidays, just make things simpler, easier. Just make cooking easier, and so you're not having to go to the shops all the time. It gets really busy over the holidays. You can feed the kids when they're whinging that they're hungry, etc. So, does anyone have any questions? Any questions about Christmas planning? Any questions about the membership, or anything upcoming? And thanks so much again for joining me. I hope that this will help with your Christmas planning. As I said, I've been doing the planning part, for quite a few years now, and it just makes such a difference to, you're not getting to the last minute or the week before Christmas and thinking, who else have I got to buy a present for? What have I got? What haven't I got? And my husband used to be chronic before we were married. Christmas Eve, he'd finish work. So I never worked Christmas Eve. This might have been in my blogging days anyway, but he would finish work early and then he would go to the shops, and that was his Christmas shopping. Stressed me out, but I am determined this year to finish my Christmas shopping before December. That is the goal. All right, guys, if there are no questions, I will head off.